Welcome to another episode of the MMA Lockcast. I'm your host, Manpreet, aka MMA Lock of the Night, and your boy on Twitter at MMALOTN. And this week we're going over UFC Vegas 22, headlined by Derek Brunson and Kevin Holland in a pivotal middleweight matchup. I'm very much looking forward to this. And Kevin Holland in his first ever UFC main event. This fight should be great, and we'll find out whether this is Kevin Holland's time or whether it's Derek Brunson's time. All right. Just a quick update for anybody listening to this on the audio side of things. I know I have a ton of fans that like to just strictly watch or listen to the podcast rather than watch the video. This is a recorded episode, so I'm watching, a live episode, I should be saying. With time constraints and all that stuff, I wanted to just do this in one go rather than having to edit everything and put it together and make it look nice and pretty, something that you guys are always banking on me for. But I do want to start focusing on UFC 260, so I'd rather just get this content out in one big video. It's been a long time since I sat and talked about a whole card by myself, but here we are for UFC Vegas 22 doing exactly that. So I will be interacting with the chat every now and then, just to kind of keep things flowing. But I will be getting through this podcast and breaking down every single fight that we have. And I'm very much looking forward to do so. So just right off the bat, I want to say what up to the chat in here. We already got a couple guys here. Freddie Feeball is saying UFC back in business. Got to make that money for a Florida road trip. I don't know if I'll be at a live event for a long time now. Rex Lee is in the chat saying what's going on. Ben Peak, I just got done with tape on Dawson versus Santos. I think Santos might be a good underdog. I think Santos has the better striking. Was Dawson still looks green on the feet. I can't wait to get into that one for you guys. Harmon Sarai is in the chat saying cheers. What's going on? Evo Steph is saying what's up. I appreciate you stopping by. Shawnee Mac, always reliable with Big Manny to God. Thank you for stopping by. PK Kwood is saying what up? Just finished my own study and kicking myself for not jumping on Bruno before the line dropped. Massively thoughts on that one. Bruno is my dog of the night. Ooh, can't wait to get this one going for you guys as well. Ben Peak is saying this is awesome. Thanks for this log. I'm not going to be doing live logcasts as usual moving forward. This is probably a one-off, but I have a ton of other live content that I normally give you guys. So most notably on fight day, 1 p.m. Eastern, I usually do my MMA logcast live, and that's where you guys are able to interact with me the most. But yeah, I don't know if I'll ever do this live version of the podcast again. I like editing it. I like making it look nice and beautiful, and getting the graphics up for you guys and all that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't want to say never. I did say never, but I never say never. Let's put it that way. More with less is saying thanks for the cast. Appreciate it. Chris Heisenbuttle is saying how long have we been live? Just got here. We just started. All right, let me let's get this thing on the road. Let me get into the fights here. So actually, I'm so off in terms of how I normally do these, but what I normally do is actually go over my last event, and that's what I'll do quickly for you guys. It was a very short one since we only had 2 bets. Ultimately, only ended up having 1 bet. So we'll talk about the lock that I play. It was Leon Edwards last week. I had 5 units on him at minus 264. Thought I was getting an immense amount of value, as I believe he should be closer to minus 400 in that spot. Unfortunately, he goes out there and pokes or gouges the shit out of Bilal Muhammad's eye, and we get a push on that because it ends up being a no contest. And then my dog of the night play, which was 1 unit on Matthias Nicolau, plus 114, that cashes for plus 1.14 units, and that's the profit that we have on the event. So for me, I have $100 per unit. I profited $114 that night, so I was happy we had at least hand off in the green. Did Nicolau deserve that decision? On my first and second watch, I don't think so, but I'm happy to get the scorecards there. I'm sure karma eventually will come back and bite me in the butt with another split decision down the road, but happy to end up in the green for this last event and hope to keep that energy rolling along. That's 2 straight winning events, hoping to string together this 3rd one now coming up this weekend at UFC Vegas 22. Before jumping into it again, do want to shout out the sponsors and all that. First and foremost, Coolbet. Make sure you guys go check out coolbet.com. Promo code MMALOTN2. That gives you guys, they match your initial bonus up to $200, 100%. So you put in $100, they match you $100. I believe there's a 6 times rollover, but that's with any that's what any bookie when you sign up and get a welcome bonus. So make sure you guys check them out. They have great odds. They have great props. You can parlay props. You can do all that crazy stuff. Unfortunately, it's only available in Canada and some of the Scandinavian countries, as well as a couple South American countries. So, check it out if you're in one of those spots. I'm sure you'll be happy with the product that you guys are getting with Coolbet. Also, I do want to shout out Fanatics Fantasy MMA. It's an app where it's pretty much fantasy MMA. You pick every single one of your fights. And you can go up against your friends. You can go up against just random people. They have like a worldwide leaderboard as well, I believe. It is still in a beta phase, and they're very receptive to what to what people are saying. Any type of things they want to add, take away. They're totally open to hearing suggestions. So make sure you guys check them out. I do have the link in the description below if you guys want to check out the app. I'm on it myself. I'll be giving out my picks on that as well, closer to the fights. But yeah, I love using the app. It's probably one of the best apps in terms of fantasy MMA. And they don't just do UFC. They do they do Bellator, they do all of that stuff. So you get not just UFC, you get a ton of other shit. So make sure you guys check out Fanatics Fantasy MMA. Great app. I can't wait for them to blow up, and I'm glad to be a part of the journey with them as well. And then one last thing I do want to talk about before jumping into the breakdowns here. Let me just pull it up real quick. 1 second, guys. 1 second. Oh yeah, and then obviously the Patreon. If you guys aren't already on the Patreon, patreon.com/lock of the night, or I believe it's MMALOTN. Either way, the link is in the description below. You guys got to get a ton of cool perks. Usually when I'm not doing a live show like this to do my podcast, you guys get my breakdowns nice and early. All my picks, obviously, as well as a best bets and props article that a lot of people enjoy. I put my confidence level up beside every single bet there, as well as I've added a new section for live betting for every single fight. I try to give you guys my best thoughts for the live betting for every single matchup. So if you are looking to live bet fights, I'll make sure you guys are ready to go in terms of the knowledge that you need for every single fight going into it. So yeah, got a ton of great perks on the Patreon. Make sure you guys check that shit out. It's the best way to help you guys out, help your boy out continuously doing this full time as well, which I'm already doing starting next week. March 26th is my last day of work, and I'll never be working for the man ever again. And it's all thanks to you guys, whether you just subscribe to my YouTube channel, whether you follow me on Twitter, even small things like that, even hitting the like button below. Make sure you guys hit the like button below because that helps out a lot too. But yeah, even doing simple things like that allows me to do this thing full time, and I'm truly indebted to all of you guys, and I will give you guys the best product and the best analysis I can possibly give moving forward. All right, let's just see what the chat's saying before I jump into the breakdowns here. Evo Steph already with the dono. Thank you, brother. He's saying, I can't let my girlfriend see your beard. Ooh. I got to get more like shirts and outfits that are not black, because if you guys notice when you guys see me with like my gray sweater, which is like the only other color that I have, the beard pops a little bit more, and I'm keeping it going. It's still cold as fuck up here in Canada. So as long as it's cold up here, I'm keeping this sticky going, and I might have to steal your girl while doing so. But thank you, Evo Steph. I appreciate the donation, buddy. Truly appreciate it. SD Crusaders, Cody shaved his beard. Ooh, I can't wait to see that tomorrow on our show. Arlen is saying, profit is profit. You are right. We got to cash it. Fucking love deposit bonuses. Yeah, for sure. Again, coolbet.com, promo code MMALOTN number 2. VCR is saying, are you winning, son? I have won the last 2 events. Let's see here. I'm glad to be here live, brother. Thank you, John. I appreciate you stopping by. Jamie Tran is stopping by saying, what's going on? Appreciate you stopping by as well, buddy. I thought about Silva, but I feel like he makes his fights hard for himself. He tends to allow himself to get hit and take down in his fights. Could be frustrating if you're betting. All right. I'll get into that as soon as I get around to it. Good shit. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Jimmy the Drunk is saying that beard just got my girl pregnant. I apologize. Maybe she should be on that birth control. Just saying. Matthew Moore, excited to see how your bets have changed after some tape, for sure. All right. Let's get into it. I don't want to keep you guys up too much longer here. So let's start off at the bottom of the card. We got Bruno Silva plus 125 against JP Baez, or Baez is how you pronounce it, at minus 145. So this line actually opened up much wider than this. We had JP Silva open up at minus 280. He's been bet all the way down. Or sorry, Bruno Silva, a ton of money has come in on him. He's all the way down to plus 125 now. And I get it. Once you run the tape here, you kind of understand it. So one of the first things that I always look for when I'm betting a fighter is cardio. Don't have cardio, you're more than likely not going to be a bet. If you don't have cardio, I'm more than likely going to go out there and fade you. And what we see from JP Baez in terms of the fights that are extended past the first round, he does start to slow down a little bit, right? He gets a little bit lucky with this fight against I believe the kid's name was Gamzat. Yeah, Gamzat Magomedov, where Magomedov was having a lot of success in that second round, and then he hits him in the back of the head, and round 3, he hits him in the back of the head after landing some beautiful ground and pound, and then he gets disqualified, and GP Bays gets a victory there. But more often than not, he's going out there and getting victories relatively early. He does have a 4th round victory over Luthando Biko and EFC, but unfortunately, I was not able to get a hold of that tape, so I would love to see how he actually looks in rounds 3 and 4, especially if he's coming out on the winning end. Bruno Silva, on the other hand, has been fed kind of a murderer's row. Well, not murderer's row, but like very high level opponents down there at 125 pounds. Guys like Tagir Ulanbekov, David Dvorak, Khalid Taha, who ended up submitting him late in that third round. But he showed great cardio in the Dvorak and Ulanbekov fights. And he even showed a way more account of himself against Tagir Ulanbekov, where he managed to keep the fight on the feet, land some good shots, not allowed Tagir to truly get it set when he did get the takedowns. But I was very, very impressed with what we saw from Bruno in that fight. I think that if we see Bruno survive the first round, which I believe he will, he should start to take over later in this fight. I do think that Bays does have the better striking technique, but if you don't really have any like crazy cardio here, I think that he's a little bit in a little bit of trouble. Like what is your technique if you truly can't go out there and back it up with your skill set, right? Or at least with your cardio. Bruno Silva is definitely a very live dog here, which is why he's been bet down from such a crazy underdog. So even at plus 125, I don't think it's a bad spot, even if you're late to the party on JPB or on Bruno Silva. This is just like I am. I think it should be closer to a pick'em fight. So there could be a little bit of value here on Bruno Silva still, but I will go with Bruno. I'll take him to win by decision, but I think that JP still has a ton of potential. But until I see him go out there and actually fix those cardio issues, I can't back him, especially as a favorite here. So I do like Bruno here. Again, I don't want to overlook the skills of JP either. He has great takedowns, great wrestler, rides his opponent very well. He's very fluid on top. But again, if I need cardio, give me cardio, show me cardio, go 15 minutes here and beat Bruno Silva, solid 15 minutes without any questions, and then I'll be a little bit more of a believer. And again, he's a Fortis MMA guy. You guys know I have a hard on for Fortis MMA people. So, let's see what he looks like this weekend, and then I'll be a little bit more confident in him. But I do side with Bruno Silva here. PKK, what is saying, JP's grappling is real heavy. I see Silva battering him on the feet and defending most takedowns. I feel all 3 of the guys who beat Smokes JP, also Tagir fight was closer than scored. Yeah, I had a ticket. I had a parlay of Tagir and somebody else that night, and I thought I was going to lose that fight once it went to the judges' scorecards. But yeah, Tagir pulls it off, but very, very close fight. I was saying this on the AJ's podcast earlier today. It kind of reminds me of Jinu Fry against Gloria De Paula in terms of the circumstances leading into this fight, right? You got a guy that hasn't had a victory in the UFC yet. May be seen as being over the hill at this point in time, going up against a hot prospect coming off the Contender Series. But now we're seeing a ton of money come in on Bruno Silva. So people are starting to see that he still has something to give. And, with that fight ready camp, I know Santino DeFranco is going to have him ready to go. And I do like him in the spot. And I'm picking him to pull off the upset here. Shout out to my guy, Z, hopping in the chat here. He said, I took the doesn't go to decision for Silva and Bays here at plus 120. Fair play to Bruno bettors. Ooh, not bad. I don't mind that. Plus money on a violence bet. I like that. Silva as a layup here is what Sex God is saying. Also fade the wife. We'll get to that shortly. More with less is saying Silva versus Bays might end up like Bonturin versus Cara France. Ooh. Well, if you guys don't remember, Bonturin was pretty much controlling that entire fight until he got knocked the fuck out by Cara France. So we'll see how that goes. PKK, what I was saying was just thinking that lock faded Jinyu because of recent hours. Yeah, we got to give these fighters a little bit more credence, right? Even if they're riding a bit of a losing streak. That doesn't mean that the losing is going to continue. They still are skilled. I truly think that Bruno Silva is very skilled. And a lot of people think the same, which is why the line is closing as much as it is. All right, let's move along here. Next up, we got Julia Avila versus Julija Stoliarenko. So I'll try to go with last names here just to not confuse you guys. Yeah, Avila, big favorite, as she pretty much always is. She fell flat on her face last time around against Sijara Eubanks, who, completed takedowns and really controlled it from the top position. I thought Avila would do a better job of, not being drowned on the ground and kind of getting back to her feet and landing the better shots. But Sijara Eubanks was there to fight. She was successful on the takedowns, and she's a pretty good jiu-jitsu player herself. Julija Avila, obviously a black belt, but I didn't see too much of that in that Sijara fight. Like in the first round, you do see her throwing up a couple of submissions, but it starts to taper off later this fight goes. Now, Yulia Stoliarenko, if she had a little bit better of a wrestling game, I'd be, maybe 1 or 1.5 units here on Stoliarenko, strictly due to her offensive jiu-jitsu. I love how chaotic she is. Like, she almost reminds me of a Brandon Royval, where, like, she may not have all the skills, but she has that crazy chaotic pace that might be able to, ruffle the feathers of a girl like Avila, who seems to need to fight a cleaner fight to get her hand raised. And she has given up takedowns in the past, and I'm not sure if Stoliarenko will be able to get the takedown here, but I think she can create enough of chaos here where, even if she decides to pull guard and try to go for an armbar, she might be successful with it. I'm not banging on anybody that's taking a little bit of a shot here on Stoliarenko, especially her to win by submission is plus 500. I think that's a crazy line here, especially given the fact that Yulia Stoliarenko, 8 out of her 9 victories have come via armbar. She is the Lithuanian Ronda Rousey. I think she truly has a lot to bring to the table, and I don't mind what I see from her. So I did consider putting at least a half unit shot on her here. Women's MMA, big favorites. It doesn't really pan out well for the big favorite. Avila still has a ton of potential, in my opinion, but I think she'll have a harder time keeping this fight on the feet than Yana Kunitskaya did. And I think that Stoliarenko could make this a very dirty and gritty and grindy fight and make it very difficult for Avila to get her game off. So yeah, I'll side with Avila in terms of a prediction, but in terms of betting, please do not parlay Julija Avila here. If anything, take a little bit of a shot at Stoliarenko, but I think you're asking for a ton of trouble if you're trying to parlay Avila here. Stoliarenko, yeah, like my guy Chrisology is saying, inside the distance is a very solid spot. Ben Peak is saying under 2.5 could be a good bet here with these women's fights. Both can throw on the feet. I absolutely agree with you. I think that I do think that Stoliarenko is quite live here. So just be very careful if you're looking at playing Avila here. Under 2.5, like my guy Ben Peak said, I think that could be a solid spot. Let me see what the odds are on that. Under 2.5 plus 155, not too bad. Avila has some pop under shots on the feet, and then Stoliarenko obviously very offensive with the jiu-jitsu. Most people will remember. I was about to say Roryarenko. Most people will remember Stoliarenko for that crazy 5-round war, that bloodbath that she had with Lisa Versosa. But that was a fight where we saw that offensive, chaotic style pay off for her. Maybe she could do that and drag Avila into some murky waters here and pull off a victory. So I'm not mad at anybody holding a Julija Stoliarenko ticket here. Probably the line gets even better as the fight moves closer. But I'll take Avila, but I might take a little bit of a flyer on Stoliarenko in this spot. Finesse Car is saying, could you maybe make some picks for the Prize Picks app on Sal's channel in the future? Absolutely. Prize Picks is actually going to be a sponsor of the DFS show that I'm going to be doing for Sal later on this evening. But yeah, I'm looking forward to digging into Prize Picks and seeing how that works out. More with less is saying Avila moves forward with 1-2s and ends up in the clinch every time, taking the over. Stoliarenko can take a punch. True. But that's where things get murky, right? If she decides to, clinch fuck or grapple fuck, she's putting herself into the Stoliarenko game. And again, I love all offensive fighters, and that's what Stoliarenko is. Yulia definitely live here. Avila is very unpredictable. Yes, you are right. All right, let's keep the boat moving along. Next up, we got Montel Jackson versus Jesse Strader. We got Strader coming in on short notice here. Plus 475, obviously the huge underdog here. Montel Jackson minus 650. A guy that some people seem to have kind of given up on as a prospect, but I'm not willing to write him off yet, right? His 2 losses. You got Brett Johns and you got Ricky Simone. Those are, respectable losses, especially considering that Montel Jackson is still trying to find his footing in the professional MMA scene. The guy looks like he has all the tools, right? Great wrestler, sneaky submission game. His striking is only getting better. His cardio is only getting better too. Uses his range very, very well, but it's just it's just too wide in my opinion. Like my guy Chrisology is saying right now, the line is a little bit too wide and too chaotic. The spot that I do like though is the under 2.5. It's minus 185, but I think that both guys have very solid paths to victory in terms of getting the finish here. With Jesse Strader, obviously the guy, he goes out there, he throws absolute bombs. He only has one loss on his record, and it was to Marcelo Rojo, who made his UFC debut last weekend against Charles Jourdain. But both guys are, very live for a finish here. Strader, I think he could give up a submission here, or he could go out there and knock out Montel Jackson. I think Jackson will get the submission, though. I think we'll see him complete the takedowns. I think we'll see him crowd Strader on the ground and just, really get to work there, just stay active, and eventually lock up some sort of submission there. But I do like Jackson here. Maybe if you don't like the minus 185 on the under 2.5, Jackson inside the distance. Well, Jackson by sub is plus 400. That's already a solid spot in my opinion. Jackson inside the distance is minus 170. So I'd rather pay a little bit more juice and take the under 2.5 just to cover the possible Jesse Strader knockout. But yeah, I'm not going to touch Jackson here at minus 650. I think he wins this fight pretty handily, and I think he subs Strader. Excuse me. I think he subs Strader. But yeah, I think the line is a little bit crazy here. Chrisology is asking what the KO line is on Strader, and that's not a bad question here. We got Strader KO at plus 1265. That is worth a little bit of a sprinkle, in my opinion, so given that's probably his only path to victory here. So yeah, not a bad spot. Sexcard is saying that Jackson wrist control is going to be a big problem if he doesn't fizzle out. Yeah, the guy has crazy grip strength, absolutely crazy grip strength. But yeah, I do like me some Montel Jackson in this fight, but I do like the under 2.5 most for this fight. Ben Peak is saying, is Sander worth half a unit until half a unit by finish? I think Jackson has this fight, but this is MMA, and the fact that you're getting plus 1265 on Strader, I'm assuming by Sander you mean Strader. For him to win by KO is plus 1285. I think if you think he even has a glimmer of chance, that's a solid spot. If I'm not mistaken, plus 1280-ish translates to about. Well, let me get the actual calculation here. Let me get my betting calculator out. But so the line Strader KO is plus 1265. So if we put plus 1265 into our calculator here, that's saying he has a 7% chance of winning, or at least getting the knockout. If you give him more than a 7% chance of knocking out Jackson, then yeah, I think you're getting a little bit of value there. Chrisology is saying he's going to take a sprinkle. He does have a puncher's chance, and I agree. The guy throws with absolute heat. The last guy he knocked out, stiff as a board. So this guy has some crazy amount of power in his hands. All right, let's keep this train moving along. Next up, we got Roman Dolidze versus Trevin Giles. Dolidze coming in on short notice here, down a weight class. And from all accounts, it seems like he was preparing to go down to 185 regardless. So maybe just taking this short notice fight was, in his plans anyway. He was going to go down to 185. According to one of the Georgian MMA media guys, Dolidze was already like 205 by the time the contract came to him to fight Giles. So yeah, I'm sure he looked great and was ready to go to actually make the short notice spot and have it at a weight class below. So yeah, I do like I do lean with Dolidze here, though, and not that much. This is a fight I'll probably just stay away from, but I think that he's just slightly more active than Giles. Giles will be the faster striker here. He'll probably be faster to the punch, but I think that Dolidze has more power in his hands, and I also do think that Dolidze will have the grappling advantage. So if he wants to drag this fight to the ground, I think he'll have a ton of success on top of Giles. He's a decent I believe he's a black belt, but he's very good on the ground himself. Hopefully he doesn't just pull off these meme moves where he's just going for leg locks and heel hooks and all that type of stuff. But working with a guy like Eric Nixick over there at Extreme Couture, you got to believe he's, starting to smarten up as a fighter. And yeah, Nixick was in his corners last time around, and he still pulled that stuff off. But after seeing his performance and seeing that, it was a split decision when it should have, easily been a unanimous decision. I'm not sure how it was seen as a split at all, but seeing that, making small moves like that, going for heel hooks, making it a closer fight than it should be. I like Dolidze. In terms of betting, I don't really like him. I've never been the highest on Trevin Jaws, but I will, give him the credit where it's definitely due. And, the guy is a good striker. He's fast with his hands, has a fast 1-2 down the middle. His jab was lighting Bevan Lewis up in their last fight, and they obviously knocked him out in that third round. But Dolidze, I think, is quite durable. I think he'll be able to take those shots. I think he has a little bit more volume too, so that could give Trevin Jaws some issues here. And in terms of the size, Dolidze is going to have a 2-inch height and reach advantage in this spot. But I do like Dolidze, and I think he's the one that eventually pulls off the victory here. I think he's going to win by decision. My guy Freddie Freeballin is saying he likes the over 2.5 here. I hate betting overs, to be honest, but I don't mind that spot at all. Let me see what the line is on that. Over 2.5 is plus 110. Not bad. Getting plus money for a spot where I think that this might be played out as Dolidze probably looking to grapple Giles. What does Giles' cardio look like later in this fight? It didn't look the greatest against James Krause 2 fights ago. Yeah, I do lean Dolidze, and I'll take him to win this by a decision as well. Ziza is like, well, if the Georgians say so. Of course. PKK, what I usually fade Jaws, but if Dolidze has a rough weight cut, I might take Jaws. Roman wasn't exactly fast as a light heavyweight. I agree. He will be dealing with a speed deficiency here against a guy like Giles, but I think he's very durable. I think he'll be able to take the shots of Giles and then just throw his own combinations on the backside. More or less is saying both these guys have terrible fight IQ. Yeah, I can't complain. Is there any surprise that the cop has terrible fight IQ? Oh, let's not get political on this bitch, sex god. But I get it. Ben Peak, small third round prop play may be good for either guy. Maybe. I think we do see this go to a decision. What's the go-to decision line here? Let's see that real quick. Plus 135. So if you trust in another 2.5 minutes that neither guy is going to get a knockout, you might as well take that plus 135 compared to the plus 110. All right. But yeah, I got Dolidze. I'll take him to win by decision. Am I going to want to bet on it? Probably not. If you are considering a bet on it, I would highly suggest waiting for the weigh-ins. Let's see how the guy looks. I don't think he would take a fight like this on short notice if he, didn't think he'd be at 100%. So yeah, be careful betting against Georgians. That's all I'm going to say. All right, next up, we got Grand Dawson minus 190 against Leonardo Santos, who's coming in at plus 165. I believe there's been some money raining in on Leonardo Santos. Grand Dawson opened in the minus 260 range, all the way down to minus 190. And this is a tough fight. This was a spot where before running the tape, I was leaning Leonardo Santos, right? You got Grand Dawson, who's a great grappler, but needs that grappling to pull off his wins. And if you're taking your grappling and putting it right up against your opponent's strength, then you're playing with a little bit more fire than you should be. Dawson has looked great as of late, undefeated, great top control, great submission game. It looks like his cardio is improving, striking is improving as well. Solid calf kick. That's something that I always love seeing out of my fighters. But then Leonardo Santos, the ever aging guy that just goes out there and, just keeps getting wins somehow, knocking guys out, knocking Stevie Ray out, knocking Kevin Lee out. The guy has bombs in his hand. It's so crazy to see. And then solid takedown defense, right? Against Roman Bogatov, shucks off 9 takedown attempts. Absolutely crazy that he was able to stay on his feet for the majority of that fight, but his cardio was definitely lacking. I think that Dawson will have the cardio advantage here, and that's probably what it's going to come down to. I wouldn't be surprised to see Dawson go out there and just kind of chop him down from the outside with that calf kick. Maybe, he'll obviously have the speed advantage, but as long as he doesn't get knocked out, man, I think this is his fight to win. I think we'll see him for at least for the first round and a half, go out there and keep this fight on the feet as long as possible, try to drain the energy of Santos first, and then look to take it to the ground rather than just playing, just going for the takedown right away and risking getting tapped, almost like Islam Makhachev against Davy Hamos, right? We didn't see Islam go for the takedown early. We just, do his damage on the feet before he felt like it was a good time to take this fight to the ground. And that might be the approach that Grand Dawson's taking here. Also, being a guy that trains with James Krause, you got to believe that they're coming in with a solid game plan to go out there and beat this 40-year-old and Leonardo Santos. But I do like Dawson here. It's just going to be a no bet, though. It's just too tough to call. Something that AJ had mentioned on his pod that we did a couple hours ago. He was on the money that why risk minus 190 on a guy that you don't believe he has a clear advantage in winning this fight? And if you're just basing it on the fact of, that Leonardo Santos is 40 years old, you might get upset here with Santos probably knocking him out or submitting him with something like that. But I do like, I think Dawson will win this fight. I think Dawson, younger, faster, more stronger guy. Possibly again, Dawson's coming up in weight here, so that's an interesting aspect of this fight to keep an eye on. But I do think that he wins this fight. But I'd want a much better price tag than minus 190 on Dawson to actually pull the trigger. But yeah, I do like Dawson. I think he wins this fight by decision. But yeah, I'm staying the fuck away from this fight. D. Rich is stopping by saying, let's get this money this week. I hope so. Good luck, buddy. Sex Scott is saying, this is not political. This is Monster Energy. Hey, Z, if you're still in chat here, if you have not made merch off of that statement yet, or at least a cup off of that statement, I'm truly disappointed in you. All I'm saying. Early Win podcast is stopping by to say what up. He said, we saw a great pace from Dawson with his bad weight cuts. I think he will look good at lightweight. Yeah, good point. He's had some rough weight cuts in the past. He looked great in his Nad Narimani fight. Let's hope it looks even better at lightweight because the guy is so talented, super, super talented. But he needs to go out there and beat a guy like Leonardo Santos. More with Less is saying, in the Martins fight, Santos' coach told him no wrestling, just box. He knows Santos doesn't have the cardio to do it. Yeah, good point. Good point. Jay Tots is saying, sup, block. Let's go, Bays fam. Ooh. He's on that Bays. Maybe he's got a Bays parlay. Ben Peak Santos kind of did gas himself in the second. Don't know how Dawson can take big shots on the feet if Santos can hurt him. Yeah, just got to be careful. Like I think this is a highly volatile fight, and if you're super confident on Dawson, I think you might be in for a bit of a rude awakening. But I think he wins this fight. I think he wins via decision. All right, let's move on to the next one. We got Macy Chiasson at minus 220, plus 180 on Marion Reneau. This was a fight that was scheduled to happen a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago now. Gets pushed back. I'm just going to swig of water. I did pull the trigger on Marion Reneau. I believe it was around that plus 180 range, and I might do it again. It's kind of a toss-up here between her and another fighter later on in this card. But Macy Chiasson, still green in my opinion, really muscles a lot of her fights, trying to like push her opponents up against the cage. No crazy technique, a lot of just I'm the bigger, stronger fighter, and that's how I'm going to impose my will and beat you. Like the Shanna Young fight. Again, Young took the fight on super short notice, coming up a weight class, and we'll always saw Macy go out there is just push her up against the cage, secure a couple takedowns, but she was mussing up a lot of it. And she was I thought she was slowing down and making a ton of mistakes in that third round, but still goes out there and grinds out a decision victory. But we see even in the Lena Landsberg fight, right? The Lena Landsberg fight, she does that in the first round, accumulates like 4 minutes of control time there, and then starts to taper off in that second and third round. That's where we see Lena Landsberg really start to take off. Now, Marion Reneau, on the other hand, I believe her last loss was Raquel Pennington. And a lot of people might point to that fight and be like, oh, if she got dusted by Pennington over 15 minutes, Macy Chiasson is going to have easy work. But the difference between that is that we saw Pennington go out there and put together a solid MMA game plan. Not just, I'm going to push you up against the cage and hopefully break you that way. Where, that's where I think that Chiasson is going to do that here. Pennington put combinations together. She clinched well. She got takedowns well. She just mixed up the game so well that it was harder for Reneau to really get her own game going. Whereas Chiasson, I feel like, technically speaking, I'd have to give the edge to Reneau in the striking just from technical standpoint. Not saying that she's going to go out there and knock out Chiasson. I think that Chiasson obviously has the better power here. She might be slightly faster too. But I think a lot of her victories have come down to her just being the stronger woman. And, technically speaking, she makes a lot of mistakes. And Marion Reneau, even though she's on a 3-fight losing streak at this point, she still goes out there and shows that she can have solid third rounds, just like she did against Yana Kunitskaya. So you're damn right I'm going to be looking at making a possible third round prop play on Marion Reneau, or even a submission prop. I think is like plus 750. I think she could absolutely go out there and pull off a victory late in this fight. I see Chiasson being successful in those first 2 rounds. Does it start to taper off in round 3? If it reaches round 3, I think so. And that's where I think we'll see Reneau start to take over. She's going to need a finish though, right? That's the main thing. So I'd be looking to chase that round 3 probably for Reneau to get the best amount of value. And I do lean Reneau. Like if Chiasson's going to go out there and just try to, if Chiasson wants to go out there and just try to muscle this fight, it's not going to, it might work out for her for 2 rounds, but that 3rd round is going to be hell to get through because Reneau, as much as people want to shit on her for being the oldest fighter on the roster and being 43 years old, the girl's, she only started fighting at 33 years old. She only started her pro MMA career at 33. So she's only been in this game for 10 years. She doesn't have those fight years, equivalent to her actual age. So yeah, she hasn't been taking the craziest amount of damage, and she has a wealth of experience here compared to Macy Chiasson, who is all potential, right? She's still all potential in my opinion. So yeah, if Reneau can survive the first 2 rounds without getting finished, I think round 3 is going to look completely different from the first round, and we should see Reneau have some success. So I'll go with Reneau, and I'm going to take her to win by 3rd round submission. That's going to be my women's MMA lock or women's MMA play. It's not a lock by any means, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people are expecting, especially if you're laying the juice on minus 220 for a Chiasson. So I'll go with Reneau. I'll take her to win 3rd round submission here. Early win podcasting, oldest fighter on the roster. You are right. Freddie Freeball is saying I was really high on Macy, but after that Lena Landsberg fight, it opened my eyes. Even the Shanna Young fight, even though she won that fight, go back and watch that fight. It's all muscle. It's all just yeah. It's all brute strength. There's not any crazy technique that went into it. There's so many times where she's just falling off the top because she's just muscling her opponent and she's starting to suck wind. That's only going to get her so far. And I think Reneau is well-rounded enough to kind of exploit that the later this fight goes. Again, as long as she doesn't get finished, I think Reneau is live late in this fight. Z is saying, I'm trying to get him sued by Monster Energy. I'm sure you can find a way to just maybe put Monster. Don't put the energy, just put Monster. This ain't politics. This is Monster. Something like that. I don't know. More with less is saying Marion and Chiasson over 2.5 is a lock. I think maybe Marion all 6 losses are decisions. Painting couldn't put her out. Chiasson ties in around and has middling power. Leans on her opponent a lot. Yeah, that's where I think that the potential submission late for Reneau could come. She has a couple late finishes on her record, and if she can survive that first little bit, yeah, I wouldn't call over 2.5 lock here, man. I think that there's finishing potential on both sides here. Evo Steph is saying, I really feel like I'm going to cash out on this one. Last 2 events have been plus. I hope so, man. I hope so. Yeah, the over seems like a very solid play here. Could be. Again, I think both people have solid finishing opportunities here. Reneau looking weak. Evo Staff is saying, $200 Brunson throws a right hand while looking at this thing in the first 30 seconds. I hope not. I'll talk about Brunson, obviously, the closer we get to it. Brian Brackett is saying, Reneau is the oldest fighter in the UFC. Still a decent dog here. What's up, Lock of the Night? Thank you, Brian, for stopping by. Again, don't look too much in the age here. Do not look too much into the age here. She's still a solid fighter. Evo Stuff is not political. It's Molencap. That's another good one. That's another good one. Ben Peak, you may have convinced me, Lock, on this old underdog. Macy is the bigger fighter here, right? Yeah, she is the bigger fighter. She's always going to be the bigger fighter. And if you remember, she won the Ultimate Fighter at featherweight and then dropped down to 135. She's a big girl, but once she starts fighting people that are actually technically better than her, she's going to run into some trouble. Just like she did against Lena Landsberg, who was, kind of thrives in the clinch positions, and she was able to get the better of her there. Reneau, I think, has a solid tie clinch of her own, but I think it comes down to her durability to make it to the 3rd round and then start to take advantage of the porous cardio of one Macy Chiasson. All right, let's move on to the next one here. We got another women's MMA fight. We got Cheyanne Bays versus Montserrat Ruiz, minus 350 to plus 290. Don't want to get too deep into this one. I think it's I think it's just a pass all around. I think that it's more so Bays kind of controlling this fight wherever it goes. Ruiz has a solid jiu-jitsu game. Obviously, the scarf hold key lock submission that she had in her last fight from Victor, that was very impressive, especially the way that she set it up. Beautiful submission for sure. But I think that Bays is just going to have recovered from the striking to being the stronger person in the clinch. She's going to be the bigger fighter in this spot as well. If I'm not mistaken, she has a 3-inch height and reach advantage over Ruiz in the spot. She's very good with the she's very good in those clinch positions, as she showed on the Contender Series fight. She does a really good job of putting her forehead on the chin or on the chest of her opponents and kind of just pushing them up against the cage, really controlling them there. Dirty boxing looks on point. Takedowns look decent as well. But she looks like she's really rounding out, especially from her the only loss that's on her record. Since that fight, it seems like she's been making a lot of improvements. But at minus 250 for a debutante, I'm good. I'm staying the fuck back. I don't even know if I'm putting this in any of my lottery parlays either. I just want to stick back and watch this fight. She should win it, but let's see her prove herself a little bit more before we're willing to go out there and toss up minus 350 on her. There's just too much unknowns in my opinion. Let's see what the chat is saying here. The early weigh-in podcast was saying that season of tough was so pointless. Like every girl is back to 135 pounds. You're absolutely on point, dude. That's what happens with a lot of the Ultimate Fighter seasons. Like they just want to get in. They just want to get into the UFC. And once they get into the UFC, they're going to go back down, right? Rashad Evans won it at heavyweight, if I'm not mistaken, and went down to 205. There's just been so many instances where they win at a higher weight class and then go back down again. And that season of the Ultimate Fighter was to promote the featherweights, and they don't even get a featherweight out of it. So yeah, that was funny. Ooh, super fights with a $1 dono. Thank you, brother. I appreciate for the love there. Man, I totally forgot about the super chat option for these live streams. Maybe I should go back and do these live rather than pre-edited. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the chat real quick whether you guys prefer these live streams for the full podcast or if I should just go back to the edited versions. Maybe, I don't know. I'll figure it out. But that's a solid incentive to do these lives and actually, talk to you guys. The reason I'm doing it the way that I used to, or I currently am, is I like, as soon as I'm done researching the fights, I like recording and get my thoughts out right away. When I research a fight like 3 or 4 days ago and then come back and sit down like I used to do my podcast before, I forget about things. And I'm not the type to like write notes either. Like, I feel like having notes and having them in front of me just throws me off of my train of thought. It doesn't let me flow the way I want to, but maybe I'll think of a way to do it that way. But it seems like a lot of people are liking this live thing. Let me just get through this chat thing. Bay's got some good hands, looked good on Contender Series. Yeah, she did for sure. Evo Steph, no season of tough will compare to Lobov slaughtering Team Faber out of nowhere. Yeah, that one was a weird one. MMA Kappa, this has potential fight of the night. Both girls aggressive and vicious in their approach. That is a good call for sure. It looks like a mismatch based on the odds, but yeah, both girls come to fight. Ben Peak is saying Baze is cute. Yeah, she is. 2 Baze on the card, bro. Yep. You're right. The future is live. Ooh, okay. Live is better than pre-recorded. JSJ. Nabin is saying live. Jeez, everybody wants it. Chris Lure is saying live. Freddie Freeballing, I like live. Robot Chicken Wings is saying live. Manuel Galarza is saying do it live. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Rexley, I just like him early in the week like today. Okay. Robert Schneider saying live. Give his live and high. Locke is getting money. Is thinking about doing the setup live now for sure. I like the live too. You're very good at streaming and your consciousness in a conducive manner. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I don't know. I'll think about it. Moving forward, I'll think about it. You guys are definitely putting it in my mind. I would still like to do Mondays. I know Clint does a show on Mondays, so I don't really want to overlap with anything there. But now that I'm doing this full time, maybe I can do it a little bit earlier in the day so it doesn't really have any some overlapping there. I don't know. Well, we'll see. Aziz MMA saying do both. I know what you mean about wanting to get your thoughts out ASAP after tape. Yeah. I think I might do it both, like do the pre-recorded one where I drop it to my Patreon members, maybe live, and they get it nice and early, and then I'll do my actual live show on Mondays. I'll think about it. You guys have definitely got the gears spinning in my head, especially now that I'll be able to do it full time. So yeah, I appreciate you guys giving me that idea, and I might follow through with it. Thanks for the heads up there. All right, let's move along with the card. Next up, we got Max Griffin minus 200 against Kanan Song plus 170. I lean Griffin here, and there were 3 guys when I was thinking that I pre-tape when I was skimming the odds. That I was thinking about who's going to be my lock of the night play. There was Adrian Yanez, there was Gregor Gillespie, and there was Max Griffin. Those three guys. And then I wanted to dig into the tape and see whose opponent presented the least amount of threat and, where was the skill gap the biggest. And it wasn't this fight. I still do think that Griffin wins this fight pretty handily. Yeah, I do think that Griffin wins this fight pretty handily. Volume based. If he wants to mix in a couple takedowns, I think his cardio is good enough to withstand as well. It didn't look the greatest in the Cowboy Oliveira fight. Didn't look the greatest in the Thiago Alves fight. But then it looks great in a fight like against Ramiz Brahimaj. Even a couple of these other fights where he was able to just win off of distance and all that. It seems like when things are going his way, his cardio looks good, and I completely understand that. But I think that he has more paths to victory here than Kenan Song. In my opinion, Kenan Song needs to go out there and knock him out. If he doesn't knock him out, I think that Griffin will have the volume. I think he'll have the success of his takedowns if he's able to get the fight to the ground. I like his movement. I like his ability to stay on the outside and kind of pick his opponents apart. Kind of similar to the Alex Morono and Kenan Song fight, right? With Morono, black belt in jiu-jitsu, just never uses it anymore or at all. But in the Kenan Song fight, we saw him just sticking and moving from the outside, landing more volume and staying active enough where Kenan wasn't really able to find that chin, or where Kenan really wasn't able to get his combinations off. And I feel like Griffin has better movement than an Alex Morono. So I can see a similar fight playing out where we see Griffin just stick on the outside. Plus 120 is the decision prop, and I don't mind that at all. Griffin's only been dropped once in his UFC career, which was to Alex Morono, got right back up and he was fine. And then he got finished once by punches, and that was by Colby Covington, but that was a ground and pound. That wasn't by getting caught on the feet with anything. So the durability seems to be there for Max Griffin. Kenan Song punches with a lot of fucking power. That's the thing that you got to be wary about here. But I think that Max should be able to keep this on the outside and just get his game going, or even mix in a couple of takedowns, keep Kenan on edge in terms of what's coming back his way, keep him guessing. So I do like Griffin here, and I do like him to win by decision. He's just not my most confident spot here. So I don't mind the minus 200, to be honest. He's one of my more confident plays on the card. Or again, it's not an official bet on my side, but I do think that he has a ton of paths to victory to winning this fight. Kenan, in my opinion, just has to go out there and knock him out. And if he's not able to do so, he's going to lose a decision. So I do like Griffin here. Footwork looks great. Everything looks great. It's just, can he avoid the knockout punch? And I think that he can. So I got Griffin here, and I got him to win by decision. Ryan Benavides is saying, Bay potential bell of the ball call. Love the live, man. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate you stopping by. I don't know if she's the bell of the ball here. Like, it's tough to say, right? This is her first fight in the UFC. If she goes out there and then we see a little bit more marketing behind her, then maybe. I don't know who actually is the bell of the ball for this card. Let me just take a quick scan of it. Is Kevin Holland the bell of the ball? You know what I mean? They're giving him his first UFC main event up against a veteran. Yeah, I'm not sure who the bell of the ball of this card is. Could be Holland, could be Cheyanne Buys. I think she is on this fight is on the main card, which obviously has a lot to do with that narrative. I think she's a curtain jerker, right? Of the main card, I should say. Let me just pull that up. Yeah, she's the first fight on the main card. Ooh, I don't know. Good point, Ryan. I appreciate you bringing that narrative up. It's been a while since I've banged on that narrative, so we'll see. Ben Peak, I like a Max here too, but I don't understand why he has minus 200 here. Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of money that's been coming in on Max, which is why the line is driving up. But yeah, I do like him here. JSJ is saying Griffin is one of the least reliable fighters on the roster. God bless you if you're trusting him with your money. I think he's better than Kenan, right? Like, obviously, you don't want to bank on a guy who has the current record that he has. You know, his last couple fights haven't been the greatest, but I think he has all the tools to go out there and beat a guy like Kenan. SD Crusader, dude, like Max is never worth minus 100. Song purely on value. I get that angle for sure. Man, he knocked an ear off. That's all to be said. Yeah, that was a crazy sequence there. I love, like, as soon as he broke apart and like he saw it, he's like, "Oh my god, I'm really sorry, dude." Oh, that was hilarious. MMA Kappa is saying, I have a funny feeling Kenan clips him and TKOs him after losing the first round, like Griffin's volume and takedowns, but he's been susceptible to being cracked. Sana has good timing on his shots. Yeah, he has a ton of value. That's why I'm not as, I'm not locking the night deep on him or anything like that. But yeah, that's definitely a possibility there. Max really nicknamed himself the ear collector on his bio. That's dope. I like it. Run with it, my man. Song's broken nose had to play a factor early in that Morono fight. Good point. Good point. I did hover over that. D Rich is saying leaning Griffin, but Song has that technical hand play. Griffin's going to have to stay on the outside. Yeah, I agree. Michael Luizos is saying Song has sick power for a welterweight. Lands a knockdown on almost 2% of his significant strikes landed. Nice. That's a decent stat right there. I like that. Freddie Freeball, I like Song in this one, but yeah, Griffin got to work those takedowns. Yep. Rib Lemons is saying, what's good? Appreciate you stopping by. Song round 3 cardio is pretty bad. Might have been gifted his win over Krantz in China. Possibly, right? That's where we saw Krantz really take advantage of the grappling in that second round. I think Krantz's cardio kind of failed him as well in that round 3. And I think that Griffin has decent cardio. But we'll see how that goes. Beautiful is saying the Bays are winning politics. All right. Rib Lemons is saying, what does bell of the ball mean? Pretty much I just saying like who the UFC is pushing, and they might be pushing them a little bit too much. So like the year started off with a ton of them. We had Joaquin Buckley get knocked out. We had Munir Lazez get knocked out. We had Amanda Hebos get knocked out. There were a couple other spots where, it seemed like the UFC really wanted this person to win, and people were really buying into it, and obviously showed in the betting lines, and they got upset. So that's what we mean. She's actually third from the top. Okay, I think the order changed. I can't get on board with anyone that loses to Morono. Yeah. Well, Song lost to Morono as well. So they both have losses to Morono. Alex Jerry is saying, is it just me or does anybody else just not love much of anything on this card? Yeah, I'm right there with you for sure. MMA Kappa, I think Shea buys fight's been moved to fight before Coleman in Daniels. If you don't know now, you know. Video she was listed underneath Gillespie. So yeah, maybe they're pushing her. Fading the Bays parlay a lock. All right, good luck, DXJC. Ben Peak is saying Song doesn't even mix it up on the feet, just punches and moves forward, never changes stances. Yep, good call there. Average Joe, I feel strangely confident Brunson is going to defend the gate. He has been much more composed since moving his time for MMA. Yeah, I can't wait to get into that one. Holland, bell of the ball. TJ Kill is saying Holland is the bell of the ball. All right, let's just keep moving along. So my pick for this fight is Griffin via decision. Minus 200, a little bit too steep in my opinion, but I still think he gets it done. Next up, we got Adrian Yanez versus Gustavo Lopez, minus 225 for Yanez and plus 185 for Gustavo Lopez. This one I see mainly playing out on the feet, and if that's the case, I think that Yanez lights up Lopez. Lopez does have a bit of a wrestling background, but we don't see him use it all that often, and I think he's going to have some trouble here. Dealing with the range discrepancy, the height discrepancy, and just closing the distance on Yanez here, who's just so precise with his shots. He's very crisp with the shots, nice straight shots down the middle. A lot of pop behind them. His 1-2 is just absolutely amazing. The combination that he put out Brady Wong with, just absolutely a thing of beauty. Right hook while evading the hook coming back his way, and then following up with the other strike to put him out there. Absolute beautiful combination to put out Huang there. And then obviously the Victor Rodriguez fight, one-way traffic in that fight. Lopez a little bit too looping with the shots, and that's where I find hard to kind of back him here as a dog against Yanez, who's just going to be kind of matadoring him. I think we'll see Gustavo kind of crash forward more often out with his winging hooks, and it's going to give him some trouble here against Yanez, who's going to be just picking him apart with those straight shots right down the middle. I'm not running to the betting winner right now, though, with Yanez at minus 225. Like, he should win this fight. He could win this fight inside the distance. Let me just give you guys the line on the inside the distance here. So the under 2.5 is minus 155. So it is likely that this fight will finish inside the distance. Yanez by KO is plus 115, and then Yanez inside the distance is plus 100. Yeah, I think Yanez wins by KO here. I think he does get it done. I think he will have a lot of success in doing so. It's just Lopez's approach with his striking is just too wide and looping for my liking. I think Lopez could potentially clip Yanez with something. He could put him out, but we've never seen Yanez actually knocked out. All of his losses have come via decision and have come against pretty, solid opposition. The Miles Johns fight, right? Very close. Split decision loss. We see Johns have success with his takedowns, but also struggle with takedowns too. And that's where Yanez was able to open up with the strikes. Yanez in his Estrada fight. It was like a kicker versus puncher in that fight, and the puncher in Yanez definitely came out on the winning end there. Very good performance from there, especially dealing with the guy that was coming forward as much as Estrada was. I like everything I see from Yanez, but I just want to see more. And I think this is a good way for us to see him against a guy that will come forward, will potentially seek takedowns, and will have some decent power on his shots. So how much does Yanez, rely on his chin because he does get hit? And will it be able to hold up against the power of Gustavo Lopez? I think it will, but I think it will come down to the crisper, cleaner shots of one Yanez here, who should be able to piece him up and then eventually put him away either in the first or second round. Not calling him a lock here. He's not my lock of the night play, but he is definitely one of my more confident spots on this card. Let's see what you guys are saying. Malik Johnson is saying, just got off catching some of the live. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you stopping by. Freddie Freeball and this Yanez kid looks real legit. Yeah, man, he looks good. His hands look good, but let's see a little bit more before we get carried away and start, paying juice on this guy. Nick West is saying Yanez is explosive but technical. His power is generated so cleanly from his technique. A real treat to watch. Nick West is on the ball right there. Blackie Chan is putting the stimmy on Yanez. Be careful, brother. Be careful. Lopez has some power in his shots, and Yanez can be hit. JSJ Finity, Yanez early finish, speed and technique gap is all too clear. Yep. JSJ is right on the money there. Ben Peak, I agree. Yanez doesn't have bad takedown defense either. I think you want his fight with Miles Johns. I agree. He stopped the takedowns in the fourth and fifth rounds as well. Yeah, he looked great. He definitely looked great. Manuel Galarza, do you see any path to victory for Lopez? Yes, I think he could knock him out. He has some solid power in his hands. I'd be surprised if he actually grinds him out and wrestle fucks him the way that Miles Johns did in those first 3 rounds. I think we'll see a much more improved Yanez, and he should be able to get back to his feet if he does get taken down, and then just let his hands go and get the round back just off of damage. Rib Lemons, I think Gustavo's price is pretty decent. I'm not the most keen on playing him as a dog. Under 2.5 -155 is nice. I like that too. I definitely like that as well. I think that we'll see Lopez get finished here with Yanez and his crisp striking. Beautiful is saying, I'm definitely looking forward to weigh in for confirmation. Yep. Not a bad spot. TJ Kill is saying def C path for Lopez. Yeah, knockout is the path that I see. Yanez beat a flyweight on a day notice in his last fight. Yeah, not to mention, not just a flyweight on a day's notice, a flyweight coming from Alaska FC. So don't put too much credence into that last fight. But again, let's not take away from what my guy DXJC is saying. Baby Masvidal looks good, but Lopez is not to be overlooked. Yeah, I do think Yanez wins, and I think he knocks him out probably first or second round. All right, let's move on to the next one here. We got Tai Tuivasa against Harry Hunsucker. We do not have any odds here. If anybody does have odds, please do drop it in the chat, and I'll kind of, give my thoughts on it. But I'm expecting Tuivasa to be a huge favorite here, -300, -400 probably. But I would not play that. I would not pay that either. Harry Hunsucker, never been to the second round in his professional MMA career. We saw him on the Contender Series where he took on Jared Van Der. I believe he took that fight on short notice as well. And he just threw everything into his strikes, couldn't knock out Van Der, and then he just gassed and got finished himself. And that's kind of Hunsucker's game, right? Just go out there and try to knock your opponents out. The guy has a ton of power, but he's just so short and weird. He just has this weird build about him. Tuivasa, not the greatest fighter either, which is why I would not be confident in playing him around -300, -400. I'm just not the biggest on Tuivasa. I was even considering playing Dontel Mays against Tuivasa, but that was all pre-tape, and then obviously the fight gets canceled, so I didn't end up getting to do the tape on that fight. But I'm just not a big fan of Tuivasa. I just don't think he's that good of a fighter. But yeah, who is it here? Blackie Chan is saying put the house on the under. I wouldn't put the house on the under, but I do think that the under will hit in this. I think that we'll see either Harry knock him out or Tuivasa knock him out later first round, early second round. But yeah, neither guy trustworthy here. If anything, I would trust the under 1.5 more than anything. I'd be very surprised if we see this fight go into the third round. I would love to see fight does not start round 3, what that prop is like. But yeah, if anything, that would be a hawk of the night, is this fight does not start round 3. But yeah, I like Tuivasa here. I think he gets to finish relatively easily, but just be very wary paying heavy chalk on Tuivasa against a guy like Hunsucker, who does have some solid pop on his shots. Spencer V is saying, what's good, brother? Saying Hunsucker lock of the night. Nah, brah. I see what you're doing there, though. MMA Kappas, he's not the most trustworthy, but Hunsucker will be there to be hit and probably won't try to take him down, but the big Oos will finish him late first round. Yeah, I see that as well, too. JSJ, Hunsucker showed decent hands against Vandera. Grappling weakness won't matter here. What the sprinkle if the line is crazy. Again, I'd rather take the under 1.5 or even Hunsucker inside the distance, as that will probably be the spot. Manuel Galarza has DraftKings Tuivasa minus 250 and a Hun 200. This was 2 days ago. It is no longer listed. Oh, I think you mean Mays, because they just put this fight together either yesterday or today. Harry Hunsucker has never had a fight go out of the first round. Yep, that is right. TGK is short notice. How is Hunsucker cardio? Horrible. Oh, then again, we just don't know. He's never been outside of the first round. Ben Peak, I was going to go with Mays too against Ty. Mays has a win over Usman's brother, would have been a great underdog. Well, it's also his last fight against Roque Martinez, where he showed he can go 3 rounds and just pick apart the guy from the outside, and that's the success I thought he would have had here against Tai Tuivasa. More with less is saying I want to see an X-ray with Tuivasa. I believe he probably has dinosaur bones in his body. I wouldn't be surprised, dude. That guy is thick-boned, very thick-boned. One sec here, guys. Apologies. Give me 1 sec. Just trying to my best fight odds just shat on itself. Give me 1 sec. All right, let's get back to it. DSJC put the house on the under. Vandera finished him in the first. Ty will 100% finish him. Ty KO prop will probably be like minus 150, minus 175. So if that's the spot that you like, go for it. Nick West, Tuivasa can come out cocky sometimes, and if he's going to be bigger than Hunsucker, he may fuck this up and we don't get a shooty. Yeah. I think the last minute switch out could be bad for Tuivasa. Underdog may be worth it. I just take the under, to be honest. Manuel Galarza, my bad, just realized that. Yep. Thick boned, not thick boned. I like saying boned. It just adds to the ratchetness of that comment. All right. Let's get back to the breakdown sheet. We don't have that many fights left. We got 2 fights left. Wow, I'm surprised I'm getting through this within an hour or so. All right, Brad Riddell against Gregor Gillespie, and this is where the lock of the night play is. I got Gregor Gillespie at minus 30, 5 units. You know, I initially when this fight was booked, I was a little bit too hesitant just because of obviously the knockout that Gregor is coming off of. But literally the only knockout in his career, only loss of his career. So we got to give him the benefit of the doubt here. That it could potentially be more of an anomaly. Now, if we're talking about a guy that has 2, 3, 4 KO losses on his record and he was coming off a knockout like that, I'd be way more hesitant to even bet Gregor here, no matter how much of an advantage he has in this fight with his wrestling, with his cardio, with everything taken into consideration. But let's not look too much into that knockout, in my opinion. Like, Brad Riddell hasn't recorded a knockout in his UFC career yet. I think his knockout power is being slightly overrated, and he just doesn't do a good job of controlling distance. All of his opponents have gotten him down. All of his opponents have gotten decent amount of control time against him. The only issue is his opponents just haven't had the cardio to hold up and win more than 1 round. Alex Silva wins the round. Magomed Mustafayev arguably wins that first round, even after getting dropped by Riddell, since that was his only success in that round. But Gregor Gillespie, in my opinion, the best wrestler at 155 now that Khabib is retired or presumably retired. But Gregor, man, not just one takedown. The guy chain wrestles. If he doesn't get the single leg, which is more often not the entry that he chooses, he's going to get that double leg. He's going to push you up against the cage, and he's going to get you down. He has great trips. He has great body lock takedowns. The guy has it all. He's the most talented wrestler in the 155-pound division. And then he has the cardio to back it up. He can go a hard 15 like he did against Glyco Franco in his UFC debut, where he was still landing takedowns in the last minute of his fight. He's very active with his grappling as well. So it's one thing to have great wrestling like Sarah McMahon, but it's another thing to have great wrestling and have even a better or just as good jiu-jitsu. That's where Sarah McMahon really failed, and not to mention her cardio issues as well. But her jiu-jitsu was just not up to par with the level of wrestling that she had. Whereas Gregor Gillespie, he is a great jiu-jitsu player himself. If we're seeing guys like Jamie Malarkey and Alex De Silva and Mustafayev, saw a wrestler himself, if they're completing takedowns and getting good control time against Brad Riddell, think about what the hell Gregor Gillespie is going to do when he gets his hands on Riddell, right? So I do love Gillespie in this spot. There's nobody else I feel more comfortable on this card to lay my lock of the night money on, and it's got to be Gregor Gillespie. if anything, I'm happy that he has a little bit of a layoff after his fight against Kevin Lee, because, yeah, you want to recover as much as possible. But this is a guy who's been fighting and wrestling his entire career or his entire life, right? The guy's been a wrestler for how long, right? It's been something that he's been doing for his entire life. So I don't think a layoff is going to be too big of an issue here. And again, Brad Riddell just does not maintain distance that well. I really like the fact that Gregor just is able to get takedowns from pretty much from any position. And there's jiu-jitsu is there to, either find the submission. His arm triangle choke is fucking vicious. And then his back control, when he's able to get the back and flatten his opponents out, his ground and pound is always up there to be able to get the ground and pound finish. So if you don't like Gregor Gillespie, especially now that he's up to minus 250, I think the under 2.5 is a solid spot too. Let me just get that line for you guys. Under 2.5, minus 115. So that covers a Brad Riddell KO, which, again, we got to be as transparent as possible. We got to be as open as possible with the potential outcome of any fight. And Brad Riddell could knock him out. But from what we've been seeing in his UFC career, he doesn't have this crazy knockout power that he had on the regional scene. Gregor Gillespie got touched by França, didn't get knocked down. Got touched by Jason Gonzalez, had the wherewithal right away to get the takedown. Brad Riddell knocked down Magomed Mustafaev and gave up a takedown right after that, while the guy was still rocked. So Gregor Gillespie still has the wherewithal to, revert to his wrestling, even if he's hurt, which has only been 2 times outside of that Kevin Lee fight. And I can't say I'd be stunned if Riddell knocks him out, because that's the risk that I'm taking Gregor coming off that knockout. But again, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to Gregor here with having that one, with only having one knockout loss on his record. So I like Gregor here. I think he gets the takedown. I think he gets the submission. I'll say either first or second round submission here for Gregor, but I truly think he's still a top 5 guy. Now he's 33 or 34 years old. So if he wants to make a run for that title, he's got to, get more active. He's got to get in the cage. He's got to get these wins. And luckily for him, he's more of a finisher than most other wrestlers. So he's going to catch the eye of the fans. He's going to, be seen as that guy that goes out there and just smishes. He's that type of guy. And I truly like Gregor here. I think the finish is likely for both guys. I think Gregor is the one that eventually gets the takedown here. Chain wrestlers, I don't know if there's a better chain wrestler in the UFC than Gregor. Going from single legs to double legs to body locks, whatever the hell it is. Once he gets his hands on you, it's hard to get him off of you. And last thing I'll say about this, I think he played around a little bit too much on the feet with Kevin Lee, respecting Kevin Lee's wrestling, probably the best wrestler he had faced to date in the UFC. And his jab looked crisp. It looked mint. He busted Kevin Lee's face up. But I do not want him to go out there and get his jab game going against Brad Riddell. I want him to go in there, close his distance as soon as possible, and drag this fight to the ground and minimize the KO threat coming his way. So if he's able to secure that first takedown, I'd feel a lot more comfortable for the rest of the fight. I got Gregor here. Easily my I think the safest spot on the card. There is always a risk no matter what side you take, especially when you're taking, favorites at minus 250 or better or worse. But I like Gregor here. I think the skill discrepancy is just massive. And if people are just going to harp on the fact that Brad Riddell has a knockout chance, then I think that's a very lower percentage spot compared to Gregor, who can win minutes, who can get the submission, and will definitely get takedowns. Like we've seen so many fighters in the past. This is all of Riddell's opponents have had success in the clinch and grappling situations. Now you're taking him. Now you're putting him up against the best grappler that in the UFC, the best grappler at 155. I'll say, outside of Khabib, and presuming that he's retired at this point in time. But yeah, I like Gregor. I'll stop. I'll get off his nuts now so I can see what the chat is saying here. But Gregor is my lock of the night play. I personally got him at minus 230. Shout out to anybody that got him better than minus 200. But I think he's going to close closer to minus 300-ish come fight time. If you think Riddell can knock him out, take the KO prop and just wait till Friday, then take the KO prop, because that's probably his best way to win this fight. All right, let's see what the chat is saying here before I move on. JJ is saying Mustafaev took Riddell down 8 times. Don't like him even at plus 200. Freddie Freeball and Gillespie is such a solid fighter, but I don't see much volume on him here. But this fight goes over, makes me feel a little bit better. Ooh, I don't know if it's going to go over. If Riddell stops the takedown, I don't think he will. Like, historically speaking, he hasn't been able to stop the takedowns from much lesser wrestlers. Ben Peak, I like Gregor here too, and I had him losing against Kevin Lee in his last fight. Interesting. GSJ, gigantic step up from Alex De Silva to Gregor Gillespie on the button. Boob is saying, are you worried about Gregor's chin after the Kevin Lee KO? I got to give him the benefit of the doubt. First time he's been knocked out in his career. We can't just say he's a chinny fighter right after that, right? Now, if he goes out there and gets knocked out, then okay, then I'll give a little bit more credence to that argument. But I always shout out my guy AJ's MMA betting, putting out that article that we put too much stock into standing KOs. Like ground and pound KOs is a different situation. Like you can bank on your fighter to get the takedown and then dominate enough to get a ground and pound KO compared to just a standing KO. You know, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt here to Gregor and think that he'll be fine with his knockout with his chin. Again, it could happen. It could happen. But I think the chances of that happening are much less compared to the odds that I got Gregor Gillespie at. MMA cap out. This will suck going against my country native Riddell, but Gregor's grappling offense will be too much. Gillespie around 3 sprinkler or sub prop is looking good to me. Yeah, I like the sub prop around that plus 250 range. Average Joe is saying, surprise, Gregor is your lock 2-year layoff. Riddell, big underdog with good takedown defense and good striking. I'm not sure where you've seen the good takedown defense outside of when his opponent's gas. Gregor does not gas. Gregor will be able to take this guy down for 5 rounds if he needs to. Michael Luizos is saying fun stuff for Gillespie. He has controlled his opponent 75.76% of his UFC octagon time and has been controlled 0.37%. Pure dominance. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you for that one, Michael. First time Riddell hasn't fought with any of his teammates on the card with him too. Good point. We also saw CKB takedown defense exposed 2 weeks in a row. Yeah, for sure. I don't even think Riddell has great takedown defense. Like he's getting taken down. All of his opponents have taken him down in the UFC. It's just later in fights that they start to struggle, but that's because of their cardio issues. In my opinion, Gregor does not have cardio issues. Nick West is saying Gregor will do what he wants if he employs his wrestling heavy style. If he's gun shy, Riddell will end his night. You know, City Kickboxing will exploit the feints after that KO loss. Yeah, you're right. The longer this is on the feet, obviously I'd be more concerned, right? But I do think that Gregor gets the takedown with relative ease here. Blackie Chan is saying, so basically what you're saying is mortgage on Gillespie. My guy Blackie Chan loves putting the house, the mortgage, the stimmy check. Discipline, brother. Discipline. Even though I'm calling him my lock of the night play, like the most I'll ever put on a lock of the night play is 5 units. For me, it's $500, but that's because I can afford to lose $500. Please don't put money that you can't afford to lose on any bet ever in your life. I don't care if anybody tells you that it's a lock or whatever the fuck it is. There's always a chance that it's going to miss. Please don't put your mortgage on Gillespie. I will feel so bad if he gets knocked the fuck out and then you come back and say, I lost my house. Nick West is saying he's on Gregor. I'm right there with you. Tajik basing Mac Gregor. Z's MMA. Riddell isn't a wrestler by trade, but he makes people work for the takedowns due to his unit. Gregor is just another level. Freddie Freeball is saying you were talking me out of this overprop. Yeah, I think both guys are very live for a finish. Both guys. Makhachev versus Gillespie. Who out grapples who? That's a fight that I would love to see. I would love to see that fight. I wish we got to see Gillespie versus a Khabib. Maybe if Gillespie is able to go out there and get 2 more dominant wins and is really just a contender by the end of the year, maybe he can goat Khabib out of retirement, because I would have loved to fucking see that fight. Chris Lewis saying, have you checked out Abubakar Nurmagomedov fight yet? I believe that's next week, right? So I haven't looked at that one yet, but that's definitely one that I'm kind of circling as a potential lock that I play, because I don't think that Jared Gooden is good at all. Freddie Freeball, I don't think this card is going to have too many calf kicks. Hopefully not. Ben Peek is on Gregor right there. He gets up every time, though. Again, against much lesser grapplers, in my opinion. Arlen M, how many houses does this guy have to keep betting houses? Oh God, Blackie Chan, please, I hope you're a constant on these streams. Gillespie is our lock as well. Great feeling about it. Thank you, early weigh-in podcast. Bet the doghouse on Gillespie. Ortega or Volk. I can't give you any thoughts on that. I haven't looked at that one yet. Ben Peak, Brad can still get control on the fence constantly, even if you can get him back to his feet. Okay, yeah. I think a main event favorite hasn't won yet. Ooh, good point. Let's see. Is that true? Is that true? Let's see. UFC events in 2021. And then we'll get into the main event real quick. But I think he might be right. Past events. So let's see. Holloway versus Cater. Holloway was the favorite, so that's 1. Chiesa versus Magny. I believe Chiesa was the favorite, so that's 2. Poirier McGregor, Poirier dog. Overeem Volkov. Volkov was the favorite. That's 3. Usman Burns. Usman was the favorite. That's 4. Blades Lewis. Lewis was the dog. Rosenstrike Gane. Gane was the favorite. That's 5. Blachowicz, underdog. And Edwards Muhammad, obviously no contest. So 5 out of, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's say 8 fights since the no contest. So 5 out of 8 dogs or favorites have won. So yeah, that's kind of off. Yeah, everybody's crowding the chat here. All right, let's get to the main event here, and then we can slowly start wrapping this thing up. Let me just get some water. All right, Derek Brunson plus 150, Kevin Holland minus 170. I like me some Derek Brunson in this spot. He's another dog that I'm looking to possibly play. Kevin Holland, I'm not sure. Either I'm underrating him heavily. I faded him against Jacare Souza. That didn't work out to the greatest extent. Crazy position that he was able to finish that fight from. Unorthodox striking, will probably have the advantage in the striking realm. Has solid output himself. Good distance management-ish when he's not, throwing spinning shit or flying shit. He'll be the longer fighter here. Black belt in jiu-jitsu, but we just don't truly see it, honestly. I like Brunson, man. I like this Brunson since he's moved over to Sanford MMA. And one thing that we saw after he knocked out or finished Edmund Shabazian is he screams right away, 3-0 Sanford MMA. Like, he calls it out right away. Like, he lets you guys know that I attribute my progress and my improvement to Sanford MMA. So clearly it's, doing wonders for him. It's really helping him out, having better bodies in the gym. Not to mention, he's going to be training with Brendan Allen pretty closely for this fight, who does have a submission win over Kevin Holland not too long ago, less than a year and a half ago, I'd say. Brunson will obviously have the wrestling advantage here. I hope that he should be good enough to stay out of the submissions of Kevin Holland. Holland had a couple of triangle choke attempts on Jacare Souza, very weird and unorthodox from that position. But I think that Brunson will be able to control him, whether it's on the ground or up against the cage. I also think that the narrative of Brunson being chinny is being overblown, given with his old fighting style. He's just so wild and chaotic and really put his chin out there to be hit. Now he's being way more conservative, throwing leg kicks and throwing his shots, waiting for his opportunity to kind of clinch up and put his opponents up against the cage. Sanford is definitely helping him round out his game in that aspect. And I think people just continuously overlook him just because of the KO losses that he has earlier in his career, right? Kevin Holland, I don't, it doesn't sit right with me that he's the favorite here, or that he's, as highly touted as he's being. Like, he just still shows flaws in his game. The Darren Stewart round 3 really, really screams at me, especially that third round where he just can't get up off of his back. Darren Stewart, mainly a striker, not really a jiu-jitsu guy, not really a wrestler, but was having so much success from on top against Kevin Holland in that spot, and only in a 3-rounder. And Kevin Holland looked like he was gassing a little bit in that fight. So what will the gas tank of Kevin Holland look like if this fight does get pushed into the 4th and 5th rounds? We can say the same thing about Derek Brunson, right? It's been, I'm not even sure if he's been a full 5 rounds in his career at all. Like, I think that, let me just pull that up. But I know he's been scheduled for 5 rounds a couple times. I'm pretty certain he's never actually been the full 5. Yeah, and in Strikeforce and UFC career, never been the full 5, but he has had a couple main event spots. Like, first main event, I believe, for the UFC was him against Machida. He knocks out Machida in the first round. Next fight, gets knocked out by Brunson in the first round. Next main event was him against Shabazian, and he finishes him in the 3rd round. So I do like Brunson here. I think he could grapple fuck his way to a win. I'm not sure if we'll see Kevin Holland's chin just fall off a cliff or anything like that, or his cardio fall off a cliff. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt here. I think he survives the full 25 minutes, but I think a lot of it will look like Brunson kind of just sticking on him like white on rice, just not letting him get the distance that he needs to get his game going. I think the knockout power of Kevin Holland is being slightly overrated here. And again, the Brunson chin narrative, I think, is being a little bit overrated too. So yeah, I do like Brunson here. For me, it's a toss-up between him and Reneau as my dog of the night play. I'll probably give it another day or two before I make a solid bet here in terms of my dog of the night spot. But I think that Brunson is very, very live, and I think he will eke this one out probably by decision. It's just, what does Kevin Holland look like in rounds 4 and 5? I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not sure how to approach it from a props perspective, but I would take Brunson via decision. What is that line? Brunson via decision is plus 365. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. But yeah, I like Brunson here. I think he wins by decision. And hopefully it pops the bubble that Kevin Holland has created for himself over his last little winning streak. All right, let's see what the chat says, and then we'll get the hell out of here. First and foremost, shout out to everybody that stopped by. I'd say that this was a successful attempt at doing the podcast live, and given the response I got when I first asked whether I should continue doing my official podcast on a live platform, I might still do my early breakdowns and drop that early for the Patreon members, but then I actually do a live podcast and do that on Mondays of fight week. But yeah, I don't want to influence my viewers by going head to head with Clint's podcast, because obviously that's he's gonna blow me out of the water given the platform that he has. But maybe I'll do it a little bit earlier in the day, and we can get some solid numbers that way too. Let me know what you guys think. First of all, let me know the best day that you guys think I should do this podcast on, and the best time I should do this podcast at, if you guys want me to do it live more moving forward. All right. Also, if you haven't already, please do hit that like button below. That will help your boy out tenfold, and would really mean a lot to the success of this podcast and how much it truly gets around and how many people actually see it. So if you haven't already, please do hit that like. That helps me out a shit ton. All right, let's get into the chat here before I get on up out of here. Beautiful is saying I have Holland kind of mad he's a favorite now. Interesting. Okay. Freddie Freeball is saying, whose face is on that mug? So this is my face. Quick story behind it. Before I started my last job that I just gave my 2 weeks notice to, my mother-in-law, she has this crafting stuff. She's the one that's been doing all my merch and all the mugs and stuff that I put out there. But she's a big fan of The Office. I'm a big fan of The Office. If you guys are big fans of The Office, you'll remember that episode that Kelly had through a party, and everybody got their faces on a mug with a blue star behind it. So she got me that as well, as congratulations on the new office job. But yeah, I love that. I love that mug. Chris Lure, I like Brunson's price. Yep, me too. Sage Lawrence, Holland by second round KO. Interesting. Good spot. Average Joe, Holland is such a weird fighter. He makes things close against guys like Stewart and DiCarico, but then looks like a world beater against Jacare. Brunson by decision or late finish of Holland gasses. Interesting. Well, yeah, the Jacare fight, we didn't have too much to really go off there, right? In terms of time. Like, that fight lasted how long? It was not that long of a fight at all. 1 minute and 45 seconds. How would that have looked like if it won the full 3 rounds, right? We saw Jacare already complete the takedown right away off of a kick. So yeah, good point there, brother. More with less. I like the over at almost even odds. Brunson is mature enough to adapt the over guard to work around for his KO susceptibility. Yeah, good point there. What's the over here? Over under set at 2.5 with the over at -103. I think that's a solid spot. I don't know why I overlooked that. Over 2.5 at -103 is a very solid spot. Even the over 1.5 at -185, I think that's a solid spot too. Good look there, brother. Freddie Freeball, and gotta go Holland by KO, of course, because it's gonna take something weird like that for a guy Brunson to go out. Michael Luizos, I'm on Brunson here. He has faced the much better competition, and Holland doesn't do well with chain wrestling. Brunson is rejuvenated since the move. The plus money on Brunson is a really nice look. Yes, I'm right there with you, brother. Holland is a real question mark in a 5-rounder, though. Yep, we've never seen him go the full 5. Holland opened at plus 100. Yep. Holland putting Brunson down round 1 KO, plus 550 or round 2 KO, plus 1,000. I think if you like Holland, that's probably the way to go here. That's the way I think you go. Ben Peak, so far I got Kevin here. He definitely has a striking advantage here. He can kick Derek hard to the body. Doesn't have a chin. Doesn't have to chin check him, but I agree. If it doesn't sit well with me that Kevin is -170. Yeah, again, I do think that Kevin does have the striking advantage, but I don't think that Brunson will give him that space long enough to really get that game going. SD Crusader is hard on Brunson. Me too. Chiasson was the dog. Yep, you're right. I think Brunson will appoint him in a close decision. I don't. If it goes to a decision, I don't think it'll be that close. Especially if Brunson's chin holds up, that means he'll probably be successful with his takedowns and controlling Holland. And I think we might even get a 10-8 round. To be honest, the later this fight goes with Brunson's control. I got Deza B as well. Post tape, Brunson has smartened up so much since Theodorou. I like Brunson round 4 or 5 or by decision as a spring show at plus 275. I believe that's where it translates to, and a half unit on Brunson straight. I like that. I like it. Nick West, legal blow to end the main event. Savage plum shot or something. I hope not. We need some legit finishes, especially considering what happened with Bilal. More with less. Brunson's definitely going to lose round 1 plus 2 after that. Unknown. Maybe. I don't think he'll definitely lose round 1 and 2. Let's just see how. I could see him giving away round 1 and then start really implementing that grappling in round 2. Freddie Freeball, this fight is easy. The fight the judges will fuck up the most and ruin my parlay. I hope not. I got Gregor Nurmagomedov parlay going. Not bad. Again, I really lead Nurmagomedov early, but I haven't done the tape on that fight yet. I will probably get into that fight first tomorrow, and I'll drop it on the Patreon for my Patreon members, at least a breakdown, and then we'll see if we actually end up making it a lock of the night play. Sage Lawrence, there's some things that we humans cannot verbally describe or calculate, and one of those things is the level of athlete and skill that Holland is. Couldn't be more on the dot there. I love that approach. By the way, my guy Sage Lawrence, if that's actually your picture, you look a hell of a lot like who's that kid married to Alison Brie? Alison Brie husband, Dave Franco. You look like Dave Franco if that's you, by the way. Rick Sanchez of Brunson looks like he did against Witt. Holland will sleep him. Oh, Whitaker, you mean? Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Brunson has come so far, and since since that fight and since going to Sanford MMA, he's really changed his game. So I like what we see from him. Manuel Gallarza is saying, great show. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you stopping by. Have a good night. Lock of the night. Thank you, Rib Lemons. Just like his son, Jocker and Buckley, will find a way to break Brunson. Maybe. Super Fights with another $1 donation. Thank you for the love, brother. Not even one comment from you, just donations. Drop a comment. But appreciate the love nonetheless, brother. Sage Lawrence saying, Lock, you provide way better insight than Clint. I'm not here to shit on Clint at all. That's my guy. That's my buddy. But I appreciate the compliment there, brother. 1-0 Thursday, so we have our own research to compare. Okay. I think people just like the early drop of the week, so they have something to sink into. Chris Lewis saying Mondays at 7. Mr. 420 saying always 420. Could you imagine if I just do 420 Mondays? But yeah, I wouldn't be able to 420 and do this podcast. That's saved for the lucky late night episodes. But yeah, let's see. Why didn't he find a way to break Stewart? Yep, good point, DJ Kill. Marcus Williams, great show. I like the live format. Heart says Holland, head says Brunson. Yeah, my head is saying Brunson, and even my heart is saying Brunson, to be honest. Thank you, Marcus. I'll look to continue to do this on a live feed rather than pre-taped, since so many people like it. Maybe I'll just have my graphics and all that shit ready so I can implement it into the show as well, so it still looks nice and clean. But yeah, shout out to you guys. Thank you for letting me know. Let's see what the last couple guys here are saying, then we'll get the fuck out of here. Nick West, Brunson round 4 is plus 2,800. I'd sprinkle a little bit on round 4 and round 5. I'd do it. Z is saying, I think Brunson's recent wins are more of a tribute to his opponents falling apart. Elias, come on, true. Ian and Edmund are relatively young with much fewer fights than Holland. Just my thoughts. Great stream. Thank you, Z. I appreciate you stopping by. Could be. I think it could be a little bit of Category A, a little bit of Category B, where Brunson's move to Sanford has truly rejuvenated him. So, yeah. Again, as this chat finishes up, please do let me know what you guys think about the live stream and what time I should be doing it moving forward, because I might do it. Rick Sanchez, rewatch the Whitaker fight. Brunson looked horrible. Yeah. Again, I'm absolutely admitting he looked horrible. But since his Elias Theodorou fight, which is when he moved down to Sanford MMA, they've truly made him more of a disciplined fighter, and it's showing in his performances. TGK is a completely different fighter versus Whitaker. Yes, he was anxious, nervous, looked bad. Yep. Kim Jong-un, shout out to Kim Jong-un stopping by. Brunson didn't jump on Shabazz when he was hurt. He was so calm. I see him doing the same, taking the energy out of Holland and eventually finishing him. Yeah. We saw a very good fighter that time. We saw a very, very good Derek Brunson, especially in his last 2 fights. Average Joe getting Izzy versus Yan vibes for this fight. Interesting. Dustin is saying, like, the live show Tuesdays would be awesome. All right. Tuesdays. Sounds good. Monday or Tuesday, just about any time. I prefer the early breakdown, but I will tune in regardless of the time or day. Loyal listener. Thank you, Manuel. I appreciate that. Maybe I'll do Tuesday, 7 p.m. Let me know what you guys think about that. Because that'll be 4 p.m. on the West Coast. 10 p.m. I think on the East Coast is a little bit too late for people. So maybe 7, 8 o'clock on Tuesdays. Maybe. Brunson was fighting still on natural ability, wrestling against Whitaker, wasn't even training in a real gym, didn't have a coach yet. I believe he had spent time at like Greg Jackson's and stuff and his own North Carolina gym or South Carolina, wherever the fuck he's from. But yeah, Sanford MMA is absolutely killing it for him right now. Time is not a lie. Of all announced upcoming fights, which are you most excited for? I can't wait for Wiley Rose. Yeah, I like Wiley Rose a lot too. That's a great fight. I don't want to talk too much about future stuff. This is more so about the fight card this weekend. But yeah, I appreciate that. Rexley is saying Tuesdays 10 p.m. Okay. I think that's a little bit too late for the East Coasters. It's perfect time for the West Coasters at 7 p.m. But I'm not sure how many people would be down and watch a stream at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday night. Again, maybe 7 or 8 o'clock, I think, would be the sweet spot. More with less. I think if Holland just fights patiently and doesn't outjump himself, he wins. Could be. It's all about, can he stop the takedowns and can he keep Brunson off of him? Because I think that's Brunson's path to victory here. Rexley or Mondays. Cool. Brunson will get them cheeks clapped. Silly dudes are damn near a decade older than Big Mouth. Maybe. We'll see. Chris Lewis saying Tuesday 7 is good. Okay. I like it. New here, but I enjoyed the live stream. All comments were valuable towards my picks. Thank you, beautiful. I appreciate you stopping by for sure. If you haven't already, make sure you hit subscribe, hit that like as well too. And I hope to see you here on a regular basis. Tuesday would be solid. No one dropping on Tuesdays yet. I think Tuesday might be the spot. Freddie Freeball saying any day live, 7 to 8 Eastern sounds just perfect for me. All right. 8 p.m. is what Mr. Always 420 is saying. I think that's right too. I think 4 p.m. some people are still getting off work on the West Coast. At least gives them time to get home and hop on the stream. Darnell Rowan is saying I'm good with either day. Super fight finally with a comment after dropping $2 of donations throughout the chat. Thank you, brother. Who you got on the Bam Bam fight now? I wasn't here for a sec. I got Tuivasa, but I think the line's going to be a little bit too crazy. I think the spot that people should target in that, considering that Hunsucker's never been out of the first round, that under 1.5, that will probably be a very good spot. But the juice on Tuivasa might be too much. Hunsucker is live for a KO himself, but I don't see this fight going over 7.5 minutes. Thank you, Nick West. Appreciate you stopping by. Freddie Freeball. Who do you think Holland gets next if he has some spectacular KO? I'll answer that real quick, and then I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. Let me look at the middleweight rankings real quick. So Holland is number 10. Brunson is number 7. We got Gaslam going up against Whitaker next month. I wouldn't mind Kevin Holland versus Uriah Hall, even though he'd probably be ranked higher than him. Kevin Holland against Jack Hermanson. Wouldn't mind that either. Kevin Holland against Jared Cannonier. Wouldn't mind that either. It would be his time to go up there in that top 5. Peter Sirlos and Bumson going to sleep. All right. We'll end it off on that. We hit an hour and a half mark. Yeah, given the love that this live stream is getting, I might have to do this more on a live stream basis. Thanks to you guys. I appreciate it. All right. If you're listening to this on audio, I appreciate you guys checking out the podcast. Shout out as always to the sponsors, Coolbet, coolbet.com. Use promo code MMALOTN2. You guys get 100% match on your initial deposit up to $200. Shout out to Fanatics Fantasy MMA, the best fantasy MMA sporting app out there. They not only do UFC, they do Bellator, they do all these other shows, ONE FC. So make sure you guys check them out as well. The links are in the description below. And then obviously, if you want to support your boy even more, the Patreon is the best way to do that. Link is in the description below. $5 a month. Ton of great content on there. Got a ton of great perks. And obviously, the best way to support your boy and keep me coming back for more. I'm doing this thing full time next week. So, the whole point was to eventually do this full time. Eventually, at the point where I can do it full time. Anything extra is just helping me be a little bit more comfortable, be a little bit more secure. And again, shout out to everybody that's supporting your boy. It means so much. But yeah, I will more than likely do this on a live stream basis moving forward. So I appreciate all the love and support that I've gotten to this point. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like and subscribe below. Helps your boy out the most. Good luck and your best this weekend. I have a ton of more streams that I'm doing throughout the week, so I'll see more of you guys tomorrow, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Me and Cody are going to be propping you up on the odds stream. Friday, we're doing the final weigh-in show, 9 p.m. Eastern, as always on the odds stream. And then Saturday, the MMALOTN live. We're doing that 1 p.m. Eastern on fight day. So I'll see you guys a lot throughout the week. Good luck on your best this weekend. I'll see you guys tomorrow or the day after that and the day after that.